What's up guys, thanks for coming and checking back in to see the San Pedro video. I have previously done San Pedro one time in Cuzco with a shaman named Sampi. He gave me 2 dried San Pedro bags to take with me and said to use them if I go on any like beautiful hikes or anything like that. It turns out to be a crazy experience, and a little bit of a backstory just before I get into that. I traveled from Iquitos in Peru, where I had just done ayahuasca, to Lima. Me and a friend, we traveled from Lima to Huaraz. Huaraz is like a couple of hours on a bus. So once we got to Huaraz, we decided to go to Laguna 69, which is 4,500 meters or 15,000 feet above sea level. This causes a few complications with breathing and things like that if you're not used to altitude, but I had just been in Cuzco, so I thought my body would be able to take it pretty alright. Well, we wake up early the next morning and we think, why not use this dry bag of San Pedro right now, because it will be fun, it's going to be an amazing hike, and you know, my shaman had said to use it in like a beautiful scenery that we wanted to experience more earthly things with it, I guess, as opposed to a city. So we're in the bus on the way up to Laguna 69, and there's probably about 18 people in the minibus that we've got. And we are about 20 minutes away from our final destination, so we open up a 2-liter bottle of water, pour the San Pedro in and start sipping at it, thinking that, you know, it'd be okay. We didn't realize, because it was obviously dried cactus, that when you add water it's going to expand. Like, I blame it on altitude that we didn't think of that. So inside this 2-liter bottle, the San Pedro was about this much at the bottom, and it started to fill and get like gloop. So we kept adding more water, which didn't work, but we drank enough, and my friend started to feel extremely sick and ended up having to sit at the front of the bus because of motion sickness, aka I've just ingested cactus and I don't know what the hell is going to happen. We finally make it to the start of the hike, and if you've managed to keep watching for this long, I applaud you, and keep watching because now is when it gets good. We get to the top. Everyone jumps out, and the guide is like, okay, so it's gonna take us about an hour to get up to the lake. It's gonna take an hour, maybe a bit less, to get back because of altitude. So everyone starts walking, and we realize that we are actually starting to trip. So we're like dazed, like walking around a little bit like this, and you know, looking at how the colors are becoming more beautiful and things like that. And it's definitely hitting me so much harder than the time that I did it in Cuzco. And I drank a smaller amount, so go figure. So the guide decides to walk on ahead and keeps like shouting back, "You guys okay?" And I'm like, yeah, he's just got altitude sickness or motion sickness, we're just gonna take it slow. He's like, okay, no worries, take your time, we'll meet you up there. Because they were gonna stay up there for like 30 minutes or so, so we thought, okay, we'll try and catch up. So as we're walking, things are moving, and there's like a bull over to the side, and we're just like, oh my gosh, like, is it going to attack us? What are we going to do? It was really there, that wasn't a hallucination. But we kept walking, and everything was so beautiful, you had to stop and take a minute to like appreciate it, especially when you've got insightful thoughts about things in your mind. I had some crazy experiences in terms of being on top of this mountain that I was like walking up with a breeze, even though my heart was going like 2,000 beats a minute, but my breathing was like better than what it is now. So I think that was part of San Pedro, made me a lot calmer. And at one point I'm sat on the side of this mountain looking up at the sky. It's like snow-capped around me, and I'm just like, this is like amazing. So at that point San Pedro decides to show me something, and instead of being in my body on a mountain looking out, I'm in the sky looking at a huge painting of the scenery that I'm in, and then I concentrate into the painting, and on top of the mountain, would you believe it, it's me and my friend just sat there looking up at me. Which doesn't make that much sense, but you know, I became an observer of Earth from beyond the blue. So as crazy as that sounds, I then developed the ability to switch between myself and myself. So I could come back to my body in the mountain and feel as a human, oh my gosh, I am so small in this entire world. Like I am a tiniest little speck on this painting, let alone the entire world. Like, how amazing is it that I get to experience this? But then I can also switch back to there and look down and be like, oh look, there I am, like what am I doing? And that took a good 5-10 minutes of getting my head around the switching and things like that. Not only that, it also allowed me to question a lot of my own beliefs of what I thought certain things that I had been socially taught as a child were, which you hear a lot with psychedelics. But my tip with that is to like ask yourself the question, and as silly as that sounds, if you can remember to ask yourself the question while you're tripping, then you can start to learn it. I know everyone says to set an intention when you're going into a psychedelic journey, which I kind of understand to a degree. However, I think having the memory to be able to say, okay, I want to learn this while I'm in this state, is a lot more valuable to you. But that's just working for me, maybe not for you. So we're climbing up, and lo and behold, our tour group comes walking back down, and we're like, hey, like we won't be long. And the guide turns around to us and says, you can't go up there, you need to come down with us now, we're leaving. So of course we're like, you know, a bit like dazed out, and my friend somehow manages to snap himself out of it for a minute and speaks to the guy, luckily he speaks fluent Spanish, and goes, no, we are going up there, we are going to see it, and we're going to come back down. They end up in a big argument, and I'm just kind of stood on the sidelines like, okay, I don't know what's happening, but whatever. And I find out afterwards that this is what's going down. He wanted us to just leave and come back down with him because we had taken a bit longer, but which I can understand, but at the same time, when you pay for a tour, they should be a little bit more lenient, or make sure that the person with altitude sickness, San Pedro, is able to make it up to the lookout or the beautiful glacier that we had come to see. So there's a huge fight, like arguments and stuff, and it turns around that the tour guide's like, looks at his watch, if you're not back here by 3 p.m, I'm leaving, and you can find your own way home. So bear in mind there was nobody in the car park when we were like coming up. So my friend's like, okay, screw it, we might have to spend the night in the ice cold 4,500 meters altitude because of this guy's a jerk. So we're like, all right, like whatever dude, you go your way, we're going up to see the lake, we'll make it back by 3 p.m. It was 2 p.m. So we start to walk faster up, as fast as we possibly can, and we get to the top, and it is like incredible. I can't even begin to tell you how beautiful this was. We make it, it's like absolutely gorgeous, and then we have to run down. So we take 5 minutes, appreciate the beauty, and run down. Bear in mind we're still out of it. And we run down the mountain, all the way back to the tour group. We make it in this much time. Everyone on the bus is looking at us like, really guys? But you know what, like we don't care. Everyone was on the bus, sat there looking at their photos that they had taken, like not actually appreciating where they were, whereas we had been able to appreciate it a bit more. Granted, not as responsible, but I mean that's what traveling is, and seeing stuff is like to find the beauty in everything, right? So we're on the bus, and all of a sudden we realize that San Pedro still isn't over, and now we're in a confined space, we can't go out and walk around, and we're like feeling a bit like, uh-oh. So I put headphones on and start to meditate, because that's the way that I feel like I might be able to escape in this. And as I'm sat down, I can feel like the bus is obviously leaving the mountain area, and we go through these 2 chasms of beautiful like limestone cliffs, and we're driving through this little valley, and then you get to the end of that, and then it's like a normal drive home. But while we're driving through these limestone cliffs, I'm like just, you know, meditating in the truck, trying to breathe and like not freak out. And all of a sudden I see the lake in my vision. And while I see this lake and all the snow and the beauty around it, there's a monk in the middle meditating. The monk's meditating and levitating this much off the water. So in my vision or whatever, I zone in on the monk and I look at him, and it's me. And perfectly at peace on this beautiful lake. And then as soon as we cross the barrier, like that, everything disappears out my mind's eye and I become 100% stone cold, sober, nothing just happened. You might call it coincidence, but I feel like I left a piece of my soul at the lake. It was a place of beauty and serenity, and I think when we travel and we put our footprint somewhere or we move somewhere, I think that we might leave a piece of ourselves at each location that we go, which is a crazy experience. So thanks for watching, guys. Have a great day.